AITA for telling her to stop spending $45 on burgers weekly. My SIL-33 recently started selling burgers on Saturdays. She works a 9-to-5 Mon Friday office job with a good salary, but she recently discovered she is pregnant with her ex's baby. He is no longer in the picture, so she is selling burgers for extra income. Now, every Saturday my wife 40 buys burgers for our family 3 kids, 12, 10, and 8. My issue is that my SIL sells every burger for $9, so 5 burgers is $45. The burgers are tasty, don't get me wrong, but she is using my meals recipe that my wife also knows. I don't see why we should spend $45 weekly on burgers when my wife can make identical ones at home and we would spend less money on ingredients. To be clear, technically we can afford SIL's burgers comfortably. I just don't see why we should when there are cheaper options. I tried to talk about it with my wife and she said she mostly buys because she wants to support her sister. I told her it's not our job to support her sister. Besides, the burgers are tasty and every weekend they are sold out in a couple of hours, so I don't think losing our 5 burgers would put a dent in her business. Yesterday I told my wife again we shouldn't buy burgers, and she asked me why I cared if she was buying them from her money. Not our money, we each have an account, and one joint account. I told her it's not about that. I just don't think it's sensible to spend $45 every weekend on burgers when she already knows the recipe. She said she will be spending $36 then because she won't be buying mine anymore if it bothered me so much. That's exactly what she did. She bought burgers for our kids and her, and didn't buy one for me, which okay. Anyway, I got a Big Mac for cheaper. So I thought we were okay, but she has been acting as if she is mad at me since yesterday. I fail to see why she is mad. AITA. Had a free gourmet burger that benefited a family member, but you spent your own money to buy a crappy corporate burger that benefits some billionaire and somehow you think you won your YTA here. AITA. I'm a pretty okay cook. I make something we call fapadal. It's just as good, spouse says better, but I about that as chipotle. It's generally cheaper too. But you know what, sometimes I want the damn thing without the work. It's hot, there's lots of moving parts, and I just want something delicious without all the dishes and counter wiping and children interrupting. So we get chipotle. It's not straining your finances. It's not you have not offered to do the work yourself. As far as I can, rather going to some evil multi-billion-dollar corporation, the money goes to your sister-in-law who needs it. I genuinely do not see how you can have a problem with it other than just wanting to argue. YTA. Why did you spend money on a Big Mac? You could have made a burger yourself. When my wife can make identical ones at your arms broke. YTA. I was going to say NTA until I got to the part where you say that you guys have separate accounts and a joint account, and she is buying the burgers from her own money. We aren't buying the burgers. She is, from her separate money. Does she micromanage how you spend your money? What if she instead just gave her sister $45 a week from her own money in exchange for no burgers? What business is that of yours? AITA. Yesterday I told my wife again we shouldn't buy burgers, and she asked me why I cared if she was buying them from her money. Not our money, we have each an account, and one joint account. The purchase of these burgers doesn't impact you one iota. You offered your 2 cents. Your wife doesn't care. It's time to drop it. What if we're trying to dictate how she spends her own money when, as you said, she can comfortably afford it? I get where you're coming from in this. But she's not just making a dumb choice about food just because. She's trying to financially support her struggling sister in a way that doesn't feel like charity. YTA. Your family can afford it and she's supporting your SIL. You're being too controlling over what she spends her money on when it doesn't affect you. So what exactly was the breaking point in your marriage? My wife refused to stop spending an extra $7 a week on my sister-in-law's burger sale when, as you can see from this chart, Big Macs are I find in favor of your wife. You fail to see why she's mad. Firstly, you're suggesting she save her money but then cook for you. I'd be mad about that. Secondly, she is using her own money and supporting her sister, and you're telling her she's dumb for doing that. Just with these two things alone, you really can't see why YTA? Seriously. My wife could make them herself. Waida, make them yourself if you are going to be so stingy. She is spending her own money and you have gotten your knickers in a twist because she could make them for you at home for less money. WTF? Has it ever occurred to you that your wife, as well as supporting her sister with her money, may enjoy having tasty food made for her by someone else once a week? YTA. Waida, you can afford it. The food is good. It's a meal your wife doesn't have to make herself. You're supporting family. Waida, say you are the YTA without saying you are the YTA. It is her sister. $59 for a burger is very reasonable and she does not have to purchase the ingredients, spend time, and make them. How about you be a big boy and buy the ingredients and make them for your wife and your children? Why is the onus on her? Did you think for a second before starting to make this an issue and posting it on Reddit? I think you should apologize to your wife and accept that you were wrong and do better. You made yourself a burger at home. It's not your job to support McDonald's. Besides, they sell over 2 million burgers a day, so I don't think losing your one burger would put a dent in their business. YTA. You can afford the burgers. The burgers taste good. Everyone enjoys the burgers. Your wife feels like she is supporting her sister. Why do you don't give a good enough reason for your wife to stop buying the burgers? YTA, you are being the very definition of a hater. YTA, if you were just a super frugal guy, I'd maybe vote NAH, but you want to McDonald's a Big Mac is like $6, and that goes to a huge multinational corporation. A homemade burger is $9, and that goes to a struggling single mother. You're getting bent out of shape over $3 that you admit you can afford, that you're not even paying for anyway, and that buys a higher quality item? I can think of no way that you aren't controlling this situation. I just don't think it's sensible to spend $45 every weekend on burgers when she already knows the recipe. Maybe because by supporting her sister, she also gets 1 day off cooking a week. I assume she is doing the cooking because you said she knows the recipe, not because you know the recipe. YTA, your money is not involved in any way. You look at that with a bit of sympathy for her situation. She's not asking, begging for extra money. She's working, and this is a way your wife can help her out without treating her like a charity case. And everyone likes the tasty burgers. Waida, if it bothers you so much, why don't you make your own burgers? It's very hypocritical to go out and buy a Big Mac when you have arms, legs, and access to recipes to make your own. Order from a greedy corporation, but it's an issue for your wife to buy better quality burgers from her sister who is saving up for baby expenses. JFC dude, is there just air where your heart should be? I just don't think it's sensible to spend $45 every already explained that she is doing that to support her sister. And you're pretending like you don't understand this because YTA. Stand the logic of there being cheaper burgers out there, but you are acting as if bonds and emotions don't also exist alongside logic and also are using the wrong goal as your measure of what's best. So let's focus on logic only. Your wife's goal isn't to find the cheapest burger. The goal is to help her sister. She has the money to do it. Does it make any sense to not get what she wants when she has the resources to have it? Not to me. Now, if you were spending joint funds and this meant you never get to have pizza since she is spending the eating out budget on these burgers, I'd have some sympathy. Or if you had offered her other options to help achieve her goal of supporting her sister, I might have thought you were acting in good faith at least. But otherwise, this just amounts to you thinking your wife shouldn't do anything you don't want her to. Why do you stated that the money isn't an issue, and you know this is a temporary thing, but are choosing to make a big deal out of your wife wanting to help her sister? Then you have the nerve to mention that you got a Big Mac and are proud because you spent less. That is just an idiotic thing to do. Beans and make burgers from scratch. Dice all the toppings and assemble the burgers, or do you expect your wife to do it? If you were doing it yourself, you would know that it's actually a lot of work. And if you can afford, it's nice to get them ready-made for a weekend dinner and spend zero time cooking and cleaning up after. I'm just so shocked that a person can take the time to write out the story out in full and still not realize that they are an do you not hear yourself? YTA. Whyda, it's not about the burgers. You're claiming it is, that they're too expensive. You have the recipe, making it at home would be more affordable. It's about supporting family. Your wife wants to help her sister and not have it be charity but an exchange. Siblings help each other financially all the time, especially older siblings. Also, she shouldn't have to take it out of her money. The meal is for the family and should be from the shared account. And save your wife the labor. You might not be the asshole, but the fact that you want to micromanage her saving a little work for herself makes you a giant asshole when you can easily afford that. YTA. Whyda, maybe she likes the combo of a good meal she doesn't have to cook or clean up, and helping her sister. Thanks for watching.